What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to give you our season preview, including record predictions for the Washington football team. All that and much more coming your way right now! Hey Trash Talkers, it's Mike here. Over 93% of you who view our show each and every day are not subscribed to the channel. If you could hit that red subscribe button, it would help us out tremendously, and it is completely free for you guys. If you want to stay up to date with our daily content, then click that bell icon and you will be notified every time we go live. Nick and I both really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and we can't wait to keep making more daily content for you. All right, Nick. Well, as we have continued this series talking about the NFC East, we have the Washington football team up next. And, I want to take a look at some of the signings and additions that they made to this team to get better this offseason. We start off with quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, cornerback William Jackson III coming over from Cincinnati, Curtis Samuel coming over from Carolina, Adam Humphries from Tennessee, Darrell Roberts, the corner from Detroit, David Mayo, the linebacker from the Giants, the division rival, Charles Leno, the tackle coming over from Chicago, and Bobby McCain coming over from Miami. Which one of these do you think had the biggest impact on the Washington football team?
I really like the signing of William Jackson, but to me, no bigger signing was Curtis Samuel. To me, Curtis Samuel was the missing piece for this offense. Their offense just did not have the weapons around them to produce enough points. Otherwise, this was a very good team last year. They had decent quarterback production, even though they had a rotation of quarterbacks. And then we saw Taylor Heinicke finally put something together at the end of last season and against the Bucs and really make you think that he could be something. But now they go out and get more weapons, and Curtis Samuel is the perfect offset to Terry McLaurin. Curtis Samuel is going to be the guy who's going to help on the outside. He can help on the inside. He can burn defenses. He can cut over the middle. I think that he's going to be used in a multitude of ways, and he's Ron Rivera's old wide receiver. I think that he's going to fit perfectly in the system. It's going to work out really well, and I think that he's going to be the biggest impact for this team.
Yeah, I really like Curtis Samuel here, but I'm actually going to go with William Jackson. I think this defense is on the cusp of greatness, especially when you take a look at the front seven that they put out there each and every week. And when you take a look at the corners and the back end of this defense, that's kind of where they struggled last year. And as we'll get into, they did lose Ronald Darby, but they were able to replace him with William Jackson, who, in my opinion, is bigger, stronger, and faster than Ronald Darby. So he's going to be able to do a little more as a number one corner. I like the addition of William Jackson III, taking him away from the Cincinnati Bengals. And I just think that on this defense, everything that they have with Chase Young and that defensive line, the linebackers that they have out there, this is going to be something special. This is going to be something that we can truly witness as greatness. And I'm ready to call it now. They will be a top 5 defense in the NFL next year. Mark my words. All right, but with additions do come losses, and I want to talk about some of those as well. First off, we have Morgan Moses, the tackle, Ryan Kerrigan, Ronald Darby, Reuben Foster, Michael Kendricks, Fabian Moreau, and Jeremy Sprinkle. All of these players are no longer with the Washington football team. Which one do you think has the biggest impact on them going into next season?
Yeah, to me, it's Ronald Darby. You may have gotten William Jackson, but how sweet would it have been to pair the two together? To me, Ronald Darby is still a really good corner, and he was really good on this defense, but now with him gone, William Jackson merely replaces him, and it's just replacing his production as well. If they were together, this would have been a great tandem. I think Ronald Darby would have been a huge piece to keep on this team. Unfortunately, he left in free agency, and I think it might hurt them a little bit at first, while William Jackson adjusts to this new defense.
Yeah, I mean, I just got done praising and lauding the front seven of this defense, but they let 3 linebackers walk. And I want to touch on all three of them: Ryan Kerrigan, Reuben Foster, Michael Kendricks. These are not no name players that are just role players and they kind of sit back and sub in and out. These guys are actual starters. They play every single down. Now, to be fair, Michael Kendricks and Reuben Foster still remain unsigned. They are still available for Washington to go back and grab. But Ryan Kerrigan is gone. And at this point, it seems to me like they're at a point where they need to start bringing in new talent. They need to start bringing in some of the younger guys. And if they're going to look at possibly redoing this entire linebacking core, I'm going to have a big question mark on this defense. I may have just said that they're going to be top 5, and I still believe that. I just believe that you have to be able to retain some of your talent, especially a guy like Reuben Foster and Michael Kendricks, where these guys are on lower deals and still performing at high levels. So I hope that they can get at least one, but both of these guys back, and hopefully they'll be able to get this defense back to its former glory. All right, now that we've gone through all of the key additions and losses for the Washington football team, let's get to the record predictions. Starting with week 1, we have the Los Angeles Chargers coming into Washington to face off against the Washington football team. And I believe that the Los Angeles Chargers will win on the road. I think Washington has a very formidable opponent week 1. The Chargers are an incredible offense. Justin Herbert is going to really start where he left off from last year. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, this whole offense is ready to go. They got the offensive line situated. On top of the fact, nobody's really talked about the addition of Jared Cook to this team. They may have lost Hunter Henry, but Jared Cook is an absolutely solid tight end. He may be older and maybe a little long in the tooth at this point, but at this, Jared Cook is one of the most reliable tight ends in the NFL, and he was that for Drew Brees for so long. I'm sure he can do that for Justin Herbert as well.
Now for week 2, we have the Giants going into Washington. And to me, Washington's got this one because they have a strong team. Their defense, for the most part, is unchanged. And the offensive line for the Giants has not gotten much better. They know how to play against Daniel Jones. And I think that this is a young Giants offense that's going to have some growing pains in the beginning. I think that Washington's going to take advantage of those mishaps.
Absolutely. Moving on to week number 3, the football team actually goes to Buffalo for the first time on the road. I believe the Buffalo Bills will handily win this game. I think both of these teams have strengths on the defensive side of the ball. I look at the offensive side and I say, I think Buffalo's just got them edged out just a little bit. When you talk about Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and the guys that they have up in Buffalo, it's going to be a little too much for the back end of this defense in Washington. And then Washington's offense, you can't count on Ryan Fitzpatrick every single week. If it is him, otherwise it's going to be Taylor Heineke. I think there's going to be some issues there. So I still have Buffalo winning this one.
They might lose that one, but in week 4, they get to face the Atlanta Falcons, and it looks like Julio Jones is out of there, and if he is, that's going to be a much easier time for the Washington football team to pounce. I believe the Falcons don't have the defense to keep up with this Washington football offense. Terry McLaurin's going to light them up, and Curtis Samuel's really going to shine in this one. I think that Washington's really going to put it together in week 4, and they're going to start putting together a nice run here, starting with the Falcons.
All right, then we move on to week 5 where the New Orleans Saints come into Washington, and I actually have Washington winning this one. I think Jameis Winston, if he is the Jameis of old and he continues to turn the ball over, he's going to struggle. And on top of that, he was never known for getting the ball out quickly. Going against this defensive line, going against this front 7, he is going to struggle. The lack of weapons outside of Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas are going to be a major issue for the New Orleans Saints, and I believe that the Washington football team will be able to cruise to an easy win in week 5.
Yeah, and then in week 6, it's a much harder competition because they're still at home, but you're now facing the reigning AFC champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think the Washington football team have what it takes to pull this one out. If you can stop this Kansas City offense, all you have to do is put up 2 or 3 scores, and I believe that Washington's offense is going to be able to do it. I really believe in Ryan Fitzpatrick and what he'll be able to do with these weapons, and I think that it's going to be a really strong game for the Washington football team. They're going to prove a lot of doubters wrong, and they're going to prove why they are a true contender this year.
Wow, that is quite the trap game for sure, and at this point, they've got to be feeling good about themselves and going on the road to Lambeau Field for a Sunday football game. There's nothing better than going to Lambeau. It's one of the most historic sites that you can go to visit as an opposing player. I believe that the Packers are going to get absolutely dominated, especially because I do not believe that Aaron Rodgers will be there. I believe that the Washington football team is going to pounce all over Jordan Love. He's not going to know what to do with this defensive line. And just like we saw with Sam Darnold in New York, Jordan Love will start to see ghosts this week, and there will be a lot of pressure put on him. Look for Washington to take this game easily.
Washington's really on a roll, and going into week 8, it's pretty much a toss-up for them because they have the Broncos, who have a lot of issues right now. They may have a lot of offensive weapons, but there's still a lot of questions around their quarterback situation. There'll be a little bit of clarity going into week 8, but nonetheless, Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, to me, they're not going to be able to handle this Washington defense, and the offensive line for the Broncos is okay, but it's definitely not strong enough to hold up to this pass rush that Washington's going to offer. I think that the Washington football team are going to have a pretty easy time in this one as well.
All right, so then we move on to the bye week in week 9, and then coming out of the bye week, they are greeted by the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady comes into Washington as the opposing quarterback, and they are going to absolutely slay out the Washington football team. You may have 2 weeks to prepare for Tom Brady. It's not going to matter. We've seen teams time and time again, especially going into Super Bowls, who are much better than this Washington football team, try to prepare for Tom Brady, and they just cannot get the job done. I believe that Tampa Bay is going to waltz into Washington and waltz right back out with a victory.
Wow, it's a tough way to come out of a bye week, but then they get to move on to Carolina, at Carolina against the Panthers. And to me, I think the Washington football team is going to continue their downslide a little bit. To me, the Carolina Panthers are an extremely strong team, and they're going to be a huge underdog in this one. I think Washington's going to kind of play down to their competition. Carolina is really going to take advantage. They have a lot more offensive weapons than what meets the eye, and their defense is a lot better than you think. I think that Panthers are really going to take it to Washington and give them a run for their money. It may be close, but I have the Panthers taking this one.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough game coming off the loss to the Carolina Panthers, and it doesn't get much easier as the Seattle Seahawks now come to town with Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. This offense is ready to go. It doesn't matter if they don't have an offensive line. The Seattle Seahawks know how to win football games. Russell Wilson knows how to win football games, and the Seattle Seahawks are going to come to play. I believe that they're going to absolutely whoop on the Washington football team.
Well, then moving into week 13, the Washington football team goes back on the road to Las Vegas, and they take on the Raiders. And to me, the Washington football team is going to correct some issues they've had over the last 3 weeks, and they're going to start putting some stuff together. They're going to easily take care of the Las Vegas Raiders, who just have a porous defense and a porous offense. I think that the Washington football team are a much more well-rounded team. They're a much better coached team, and they're going to take care of business in Las Vegas.
Then heading into week 14, we have the Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington football team for the first time this season. And I believe that the Washington football team has their number right now. When you talk about some of the issues that the Dallas Cowboys have had, it's come on the defensive end. And the addition of Curtis Samuel paired with Terry McLaurin and Adam Humphries, this offensive regime is going to actually put up points against the Dallas Cowboys, who aren't going to be able to stop a nosebleed. And this is the first game of it within 3 weeks against the Dallas Cowboys. So they're going to see them 2 weeks later, and maybe things change. But at this point, the Washington football team is going to hold their ground at home.
And it's the first game in 3 weeks against the Eagles. So this is going to be a really good matchup. Two teams who really take it to each other each time they face. And to me, again, the Washington football team are going to get the better of the Eagles in this one. I think that the Eagles are just one of the worst teams in the league right now. They don't have a lot going for them on offense, and they have even less going for them on defense. And Washington's going to take care of business.
Absolutely. And then we move on to week 16, and the Washington football team now goes to Big D. They go to Jerry World in Dallas, Texas. And the Dallas Cowboys, knowing what they saw 2 weeks earlier, they're going to be able to correct some issues. They're going to come out in this game swinging. You're going to see the three-headed monster at wide receiver absolutely dominate in Amari Cooper, CD Lamb, and Michael Gallup. Ezekiel Elliott is going to eat against this defense, and guess what? The Cowboys are going to absolutely dominate. I think that the Washington football team loses this one in a blowout.
Well, they might split games with the Dallas Cowboys, but they're definitely not splitting games with the Philadelphia Eagles. They had an easy time beating the Eagles in the first game, and they're going to even dominate this one even more. They saw how porous they were. They saw even more holes in this team, and they're going to take advantage of every last one of them. The Washington football team is going to absolutely blow the Eagles out of the water.
All right, and sitting at 10-6, the Washington football team comes into week 18 fighting for the division title with the Dallas Cowboys. They're fighting with the New York Giants for playoff spots, for wild card spots, and at this point they have to do everything in their power to win. But I think that the New York Giants have much more on their plate as well. I think that the New York Giants will end up taking this game over. They're going to win at MetLife Stadium to close out the season. While I believe that the Washington football team makes the playoffs as a wild card spot, I also believe that the New York Giants will be there as well, and they have to win this game to get it done. I think the Giants absolutely close out the season in the right fashion.
Wow, that puts us in an interesting spot. If you saw our Cowboys record prediction video, you'll have known that we had them going 10-7, and as you see here, the Washington football team also go 10-7. And at that point, it comes down to your division record, but they both end 4-2 in our eyes. And now we're getting to the point where we're picking some random stat to decide who is the division winner here. And honestly, that is up for time to tell because we're not going to be able to figure that one out here. But the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington football team are going to be the top two dogs in this division at the end of the season.
Absolutely. There's a lot to look forward to. And let us know in the comments down below whether you agree with our record predictions with the Washington football team, which additions and losses were most notable to you. Let us know down in the comments. But that'll be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.